Okay, everybody, we are getting ready to start. I'm gonna start exactly at 7, so give people a few minutes to get here. Um, if you missed last night, we talked about dating fatigue, and it was a pretty good conversation. And so, hoping to share some good nuggets tonight. Hopefully, we'll get some folks to join us. I see you guys coming in. Okay, so we're at the top of the hour now. We're going to get started. Hi, everybody. It's Trina here from lovetrina.com, and I'm a relationship coach. And essentially, what I do is I help women to date and relate to men in a way that helps them, not lose themselves in the process. And so tonight's topic, we're going to be talking about the hookup culture and basically what that means, what's going on with that. We're going to be digging in here. So, show me some love, send the hearts this way, invite your friends. We're going to have some good conversation tonight. And as always, if you have questions, please feel free to post or comment. I really appreciate it. So quickly, just a background on me. I've been a relationship coach for the past 6 years. I've been working with women in some capacity or another around, relationships for a little over 13 years. And so, I always like to say, I'm not some random, dating or love coach, from social media. I do have real life experience. My background is in social work. And so that's sort of morphed into the work that I do as a coach. So, again, tonight we're talking about the hookup culture. There's been a lot of buzz about the hookup culture, especially from that Vanity Fair article. Now, I have to say, when it comes to hooking up, as far as women are concerned, I have no moral judgments about it whatsoever. I'm not the morality police, and neither are you. So, it doesn't matter what people are doing to me, as long as it's consensual, as long as people are grown-ups, I don't really care who's doing what. That's the truth. So, again, I want to just touch on the Vanity Fair article really quick. And basically what this article did was the author, essentially, she went and interviewed a bunch of New York City, millennials. And, they're, Wall Street guys and women on Wall Street. And the men were they were talking about Tinder and how basically, I remember one guy from the article, he said that he had slept with like 5 different women over the course of 8 days, and that basically they could get it anytime they wanted to get it. And the women, they were doing it too, but it was kind of like, having difficulty finding guys who really wanted to be in a relationship. And so the guy's perspective was just sort of like, well, if I could just get this, why would I go for anything else? Now, again, keep in mind, this is a small sample of men. I said this last night, but I don't think this is indicative of Tinder, or any other socials or any other dating site or app or whatever it is. I think it really has to do with individuals and what we think about relationships and kind of where we are right now. So here, and again, the thing about hooking up is, everybody doesn't have the same relationship goals at the same time. So for some people, their goal might be, to get married. For some people, the goal might be to have a long-term relationship. For some people, the goal might be something short-term. It really just depends on the person. And so that's one of the things that I think is really important to know. It's like, what are your relationship goals? Let's start there. And if your goal right now is just to have something casual or a fling, that's fine. That's your business. But the problem comes in is when you settle for being the booty call when what you want is the ring. That's when the problem comes in. So you've got a lot of women who, they're in these hookup situations or situationships, as a former client of mine had termed or had coined that term. Actually, I think other people might use it. But anyway, you find yourself in this situation thinking it's going to turn into something else, and it doesn't. And that's when all hell breaks loose. That's when stuff starts going wrong, when you think this guy is going to give you something that he actually doesn't want to give you. Now, men are really interesting because they are notorious for, staying in hookup status forever. There's a lot of men who will just stay in hookup status. So you might be hooking up with this guy for, 2 years, a kid later, and he's still talking about y'all are just friends. That happens a lot where, you're thinking, okay, you're progressing, maybe you started out just having sex with this guy, but then all of a sudden, You know, like I said, some time has passed. You've gotten to know him. You guys are getting a little closer. And, you know, maybe somebody pops out a kid, you know, something happens and you're thinking, okay, you're spending more time together, whatever it is. And he's talking about, you know, we're still friends, and you're thinking it's something else and it's not. So that's where women go wrong with the hookup culture. So yeah, thinking that the hookup is going to lead to something else. Like I said, that's where women always go wrong. Now, here's the other thing about hookup culture as far as women are concerned. Can you emotionally handle the detachment that's required for that kind of relationship? Because that's really what's going on, is that you have a situation where, you know, you're dating this, you're not even dating this guy, you're having sex with this guy, and it requires a level of detachment. Now, the one thing that I think that men can do better than women, now, of course, there are some women who can do this, but for the most part, men have it in spades, and that's the ability to compartmentalize their feelings, their lives. Men can do this in a way that women usually can't. And so what that means is he can sleep with you, you know, 10 times and, you know, really have his feeling completely detached. Whereas with most women, it's like, you know, even if they say they just want to have sex with a guy, they start catching feelings for the person. Now, again, I'm not saying that, you know, all women are like that. You know, there are some women who can detach. But for a lot of women, again, this is where the issue comes in with the hookup culture for women, is thinking that, you know what, I'm going to go and just be with this dude and be with that one and whatever, and not be able to detach from the situation. And it makes it really, really difficult. So you got to ask yourself, is that something that you're capable of doing? And if not, hooking up with a guy is you know, without any kind of relationship attached is probably not a good idea. Now, this is something that many women have experienced, even if they're not just randomly hooking up with guys. And it's the amount of shame that goes along with that if you're a woman. So women are often shamed for our sexuality. You know, if a woman has, you know, more than a few partners, it's like, you know, she's a hoe, she's a thought, she's this, she's that, you know, and there's no equivalent of calling a man anything. You could say, oh, he's a dog, he's a male slut or whatever, but there really is no equivalent of a word like slut or hoe or thought for a man. And so that says to me, you know, society, you know, men and women alike, we say it's okay if a man sleeps around, but not okay if a woman does it. And that's where all the headache comes in. So the other thing about the hookup culture for a lot of women is, you know, it's the contingency plan. It's sort of like the backup plan. It's what you do when nobody else is around. It's what you do when, you know, you haven't met a really decent guy yet and you start hooking up, you know, with some random dudes or whatever, you know, you're not really paying attention. The other thing I'll say is, you know, for a lot of women who are over a certain age, I'm going to say like 35 and up, you know, I think as women get older, they tend to want to have sex more often. I don't know if that's true or not, but sometimes, you know, if there's no guy in sight and you've been single for a long time, you know, you might want a maintenance man. You know, I don't think there's anything wrong with having a maintenance man if you're grown and, you know, you need to tune up every now and again, you know, and for those who don't get my meaning, it's like, listen, if you need to have sex every now and again with somebody that you trust and that you feel safe with, because listen, you know, being single out here for, you know, years at a time or months at a time can be tough for someone who's used to having sex on the regular. Now, again, you know, you can certainly choose celibacy. You're fine to do, you know, everyone can choose whatever they feel like choosing. But for some women, it's like, you know, they want a maintenance man or whatever it is, and it's all good. You can do you. Like I said, as long as it's consensual, as long as everybody's a grown up, they're adults, they're consenting adults, it doesn't matter to me. So yeah, again, the hookup culture, I think it really has a lot for women to do with, you know, that contingency plan. This guy hasn't shown up yet, and it's really, really frustrating and difficult. And so I just think you have to be honest with yourself. You know, is this something that you can handle? And don't try to do it like a man, because you're not a man. You know, but at the same time, if you're a woman who knows that you can emotionally detach, you know, from the situation, and this is what you feel like doing, I think it's okay. But keep in mind that society is not looking at you the same way that they look at men. You know, men get a pass. When it comes to sleeping around and hooking up and doing whatever they want to do, men get a pass. But here's what I can tell you about the guy that you're hooking up with. Don't give him boyfriend privileges. He needs to stay in his lane. You need to keep him in his lane. If he's just a guy you're hooking up with, that means he gets limited access to you. He doesn't get to know what you're doing and where you are every 5 minutes. That means, you don't you don't become his beck and call girl. That means every time he calls, all of a sudden, you ready. It's like if you can fit it in and you've got some free time and you want to go see this dude, then fine. But other than that, he doesn't get it like that. So that means no playing house. Do you hear what I'm saying? That means no playing house, no, washing his dirty drawers, no, making him dinner and doing all this other stuff. It's like, keep it what it is. If you guys are just having sex, that's all it is. Keep it nice and simple. So that's what I think about hookup culture. Like I said, I definitely don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon. And even though the Vanity Fair article was about millennials, they're definitely not the only ones doing it. This hookup situation has been around for a long time. I use the phrase booty call because that's what it used to be called. Everybody, has heard stories where people were doing that, so it's not a new thing. I just think that apps like Tinder and sites like OkCupid and whatever else have made it a little bit easier for people to do. So that's all for tonight. I want to know if you have any questions. Feel free to hit me up now. I'm happy to answer them. Just so you know, I'm going to be on again tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we're going to be talking about why men ghost on you and what to do about it. So that's going to be a really hot one. I know, I love the term ghosting. It's so entertaining, but so apropos and just right on. So that's what I'm going to be talking about tomorrow night. So does anyone have any questions or comments? I'd love to hear. Okay, I don't see anything coming in. So I want to thank you guys for joining me tonight. Again, like I said, tomorrow we're going to be talking about why men ghost on you and what to do about it. I'd love to have you join me back and bring your friends. It's going to be another good one. Lots of stuff to talk about, lots of experiences to share as far as that goes. Some people have been emailing me asking me that question about why men ghost on them and what to do about it. So I'm going to be talking about that tomorrow night. Thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you tomorrow.